Hello, it's Andrew and Eris again, and welcome to our last video of our YouTube series. So let's get started. What we'll be talking about today is going to be essentially we're just going to summarize everything we've been talking about by discussing the pros and cons of each startup method, that is the business model canvas and the lean startup, and basically just kind of come up with some situations where we believe each startup method would be most efficient, and we're also going to get into an analysis of possible ways information systems can improve the efficiency of starting a business or running a business. So first of all, I'll talk about the business model canvas. Some definite pros of it. It's really I really enjoyed learning about this. I mean, I was familiar with lean startup for most of my college career so far, but the business model canvas, it has a lot of similarities, and I like the way it goes about things. The pros, I think, are it's very efficient. It has a lot of, how can I word this? It's a lot of getting down and like doing things, and I think it really helps you visualize things, especially when I was doing the revenue streams and the cost structure. That really helped me visualize how the business would run, and like all the little expenses that you have to account for, and all the everything you get revenues from, and it just really made sense to me. And I think it just gave me a really good idea, a really good vision of how the business would work theoretically. And so that was a really cool thing about that. Definite plus. What else? I liked how it broke down some of the things I already knew about marketing, especially. It kind of broke that down into your customer segments and how you serve those customer segments, and essentially the image you portray to your customers. So I liked how it kind of made that link there. Definitely a pro if any of you guys are into marketing. Anything else? I liked the value proposition. I think it was definitely a good job that they made that the first thing you learn about in the business model canvas, because that's essentially the problem you're trying to solve. The value you're trying to bring to these customers. So I think that was very relevant for them to organize it that way. I like the organization. Is very easy to follow, and everything made sense. It was very logical. Some cons of it. There weren't too many cons of it. The only thing I could see is that if you're starting a completely new company that's never been tested before from scratch, there are some tweaks that need to be made. But a lot of these are kind of, it's essentially, usually you wouldn't like follow the model verbatim, but because you got your people and their experiences, and they bring to the table what their experiences are, and so I think that would kind of help with that. But if you're just starting a new company, and it's not, the business model is not established and not proven, essentially we made a lot of assumptions in our cost structure and our revenue streams, when really, if we're actually starting this business, we would want to validate all that and base it on real statistics and real information that we found out. And so I think that could be one of the major improvements for it. But yeah, other than that, I'm trying to think of anything else. Other than that, actually, it really all made sense to me. So I can't really think of any more cons. So Eris, what did you think about the lean startup method? What do you think? The goods, the bads, the uglies?
Well, I think that even currently we're still finding out the true standard, this true quality that a lean startup process can deliver, right? Because the actual philosophy is relatively new. For a long time, we've had a lot of our business philosophy rooted in manufacturing, and now that we've moved more into a efficiency economy where service is more of our revenue provider, well, then we have to adapt to these new changes, and we can, especially with people like, for example, Eric Rise. He actually goes to these big corporations that for a long time, they might have been hundreds of years old, that they've always followed the same status quo. Even they're learning that innovation is key to staying alive as a company. And I just think for a lean startup, some of the applications, I think that if you have the patience, if you have the determination to really build a company from, you know, from the ground up, I think this is a great way to go through, because you're gonna have to take a lot of time to discover who your customers are, validate your hypothesis, create new customer demand, take the time to create your company. And that takes a lot of years and a lot of time. So it's really important that this is truly your passion. If you just want something that um, is a proven business model, and you're just like, you know what, this is done, I just want to get this over with, or I want something that's direct, strict, and I just want to go forward, I could see where it could be weak, because the thing about the lean startup is there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of there's actually not much information, because your customers, your information, your market, your product, all of it's never been tested before. And it's really like you being a scientist. You actually have to go do field work. You have to analyze data. You have to learn from your mistakes. And even if you are working extremely efficiently, your overhead might be enough for you to fail. Like, the chance of you succeeding are not very high, right? But I mean, failure should really not scare you, especially if you're a startup guy. I mean, like, if you're getting just into it, be ready, be prepared to fail many times, but learn from every time and make sure that you don't make the same mistakes over and over. And eventually, I'm sure you will hit it. You will be, successful. So I think a lean startup, if you boil it down to it, it's something all about learning and discovery and adapting. That's what, in my opinion, a lean startup is. And if that's what you like, that's how your teammates like to play, go for it. But if you like something more traditional, more rooted in history, I could definitely see where it would probably be better to go with the business model canvas.
I think overall, probably the most important thing, I think both models can be successful, but I think if you have a good team, no matter what method you choose, you're going to be successful as long as you take into consideration, everything that could possibly go wrong, and you have a really good team that can handle problems, deal with things. I think, in that case, if as long as you use logic and, don't limit yourself, I think you could be successful no matter what you choose. So even a combination of the two, really, they both have really good points, and they're both very thorough and when it comes down to starting a business. So other than that, let's talk about some technology stuff,
Mm-hmm.
information systems, and how we think they can improve efficiency of businesses and the efficiency of starting a business. So um, first of all, we got, what is an information system? Information systems are all around us, and they're revolutionizing the way businesses work. For example, information systems that we deal with every day, um, databases online that store information. Essentially, go to Walmart. Whenever you buy something, whenever you swipe your credit card, all that data goes through an information system that takes care of it and charges your account, charges it for the exact amount, not $2 more, $2 less, 1 penny off. It charges the exact amount, and it does this automatically. It's all coded and programmed. So um, some examples of how this increases efficiency. Let's go to our first example, Walmart. Walmart, well, let's see. They got a lot of cashiers. That's probably one of their biggest expenses is, labor. But, due to, technology and labor and information systems, they're able to have this self-checkout now, or essentially the consumer can check out themselves in an easy manner that, they don't have to read a book to learn about. It's pretty obvious. It has on-screen instructions. Their payment methods go through the information system. It all works pretty well, and it saves them a lot of money too. And that kind of in the future, that looking down the road, Walmart plans on doing some crazy things with information systems, especially with RFID technology. Essentially, the future is RFID chips are getting cheaper and cheaper. And if you don't know what an RFID chip is, it's what activates when you use your phone to pay for something, or you put your phone like next to the thing, and then and then it actually charges your account. That uses RFID. So it's just kind of like a proximity based kind of detection system. And so essentially these are getting really cheap, and Walmart plans to put them in every single thing they sell to make their inventory information systems operate more efficiently. They use that and actually already do that, but where they plan to go in the future is not only with inventory, they plan to put this on every little thing they sell. And so essentially you could just walk into the store and then walk out with all your things in your cart, walk past a sensor, and then it'll just charge your account. You don't have to do anything. So you wouldn't have to have any cashiers, if that were to function correctly. But of course, there's always problems with technology. When information systems fail, it can cost millions to a company. And so, hopefully they would have a backup, just in case things were to go wrong, because if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. Murphy's Law. So some more examples that are prevalent today is online banking. Banking has a lot to do with information systems and security, because there's a lot of encryption involved, because you don't want people to get a hold of your information. It's very sensitive information where people can potentially steal your identity, use your card to make purchases on their own. So you don't want the information to fall in the wrong hands. And so how they're using information systems and how they plan for their future development is through the use of online banking. Bank tellers are, the demand for them is decreasing as of recent years, because you can essentially do everything you would do in a normal bank online. And so they're currently finding ways to make that more efficient, more friendly, and more appealing to the average person, so that they can cut down on labor as much as possible. And that goes along with all kinds of automation. McDonald's, they're having they plan to have automation, the process of making this fast food almost completely automated. In the future, there'll probably be a couple employees at every McDonald's, because that's one of their main costs. It's just a cost that accumulates every hour. And if they can have a machine do that for cheaper, it's still going to be an hourly cost because you have electricity, but if they can do it for cheaper, that's what they're going to do, because they want as little overhead as possible, and they want to save as much money so they can increase their profits. And so that's information systems help them do exactly that. And so another one is Oracle. Oracle is something a lot of businesses use. And so essentially Oracle offers a variety of services to small businesses. Medium to large size businesses usually find this very helpful. Small businesses, they can usually do without it until they expand. But they got a lot of tools. They have beneficial sales tools, access to lots of company data and information, and online databases. It's compatible with Microsoft Office, other programs people are familiar with. They have excellent customer service resources. A lot of what it can do is you can use it to manage your payroll, benefits, human resource operations, employee reviews, lots of things like that. It just makes managing those things a lot easier. It takes the traditional structure of doing that with people and essentially breaks it down into into an information version. Really, it pretty much has a system that you can use, and it just makes things a lot easier, and it can save companies a lot of money. Helps reduce costs, because it's all automated. Instead of having to figure the stuff out for yourself, it's all automated. It reduces your cost of hiring employees if used correctly. It kind of helps automate services to employees, so automates benefits, program packages, and all that. And even address employee concerns. It can just automate so much that there's a lot of different little things you don't think about when you're planning a business, but then they eventually come up, and Oracle is a thing that can help you with that. Automates all of that, so you don't have to think about it. So, and one last thing I want to talk about before I pass the mic to Eros is kind of how our business Rest Assured would handle this. Um, the reason Rest Assured's business model seems so appealing is because there's very little overhead, and that's done through the use of information systems. For example, our remote call center application, web application, that's essentially, you know, if we did the things the traditional way, we would either one outsource to like India or somewhere, and it reduced costs a lot because labor's a lot cheaper in other countries, and have them be the call center people. But that's something a lot of companies do, like Microsoft, et cetera, et cetera. But we went a little step further. We wanted people still be passionate about what they're doing, but we also want to save a lot of money. So we have this the web application where people can work in a remote office. They can work from home and do the same quality work where they would do in an office, and we could still automate that using this information system that the information it projects to the manager would just essentially log into its profile, and he could see everyone who's working right now. He could monitor their calls. All the calls are stored in a database, and you could just he could access all that, and like if someone's they're not representing the company very well, he can find that out and make a disciplinary action accordingly. And so you can do this. It's just like owning a regular call center, except you're working from home. I mean, sure, there are some disadvantages. That's why companies like Gallup still exist, because they're a big company. But for our company, it's just like we don't need a whole building to only have 5 call center employees. This is the much easier way to go. You only have to put down a budget of $500, $1,000, and you can negate all the costs of owning a building, those recurring costs, and you can negate all those for the future. So that's kind of how we would plan to use information systems to our benefit with that. Now, Eros, I think you had an example about Crockett, about how that uses information systems.
Yeah. Well, so it's really interesting how technology can really cut out a lot of the fat that we might see in normal companies, right? Human beings, when you have this is basic economics, the more you add, especially like a production function, right? Your marginal product, right? It's not going to be as much every single time you add more and more people, right? But when you are able to get technology that can make people more productive, you're going to get more output, which is excellent, right? So the great thing about technology is that it makes us more efficient. We can be more productive, and we've seen that as an increase in productivity in the last 10, 20 years, and that's due to our technology that's ever so changing so quickly. And what I love about this is that, I mean, there was this one interview, especially with Mark. It was with Mark Cuban. He was talking about how nowadays huge corporations are scared, and this is really interesting because they know that it's not like back then. Back then, because there was not much technology, building a company or building a large corporation was very expensive, and mostly because you need a lot of capital to buy buildings, equipment, people, right? But because of technology, and since technology is getting cheaper every single year, even that high schooler, that junior in high school, can learn how to program and can buy a computer, can buy software, can buy things that are relatively cheap. I mean, even if they don't have the funds for it, they could, let's just say a college kid has a very innovative idea. That person could use a credit card and actually borrow, let's say maybe $1,000, and start a company of his own, which is radical. I mean, that's insane. The great thing is that those types of people can now work from home, right? Here's an example. So if you've ever heard of Grocket, right? Back then, or there's still people who do this. They go to an older person for ACT or SAT help for the test, right? Grocket was like, well, our hypothesis, so you can see how this relates to Lean Startup. Our hypothesis is that people learn better and are more motivated when they're able to interact with their fellow classmates. They took this hypothesis and they acted it out. They created a platform where people could actually sign up with their friends and study together through their technology. And previously, if you wanted to study with someone, you actually had to go meet up with them, right? The great thing about this is that since they cut out the older people that teach them how to do, their ACT, math, reading, whatever, they're able to get rid of those costs. They were able to get rid of the cost of having to go, waste gas or time to go find a library or find a building where you'd have to rent out. So you got rid of those liabilities, those costs as well, and you created a platform that, for example, video conferencing used to be expensive, and it used to be very exclusive, especially for businesses, corporations, right? Now, with Google, with all these Facebooks, with all these different companies, it's becoming more increasingly free. Right? Well, free, right? And that's just so radical. I mean, that's so interesting and so changing, innovating. And so the great thing about the new revolution of this technology is that because of this technology, people are more empowered nowadays than ever. People are able to actually start companies on a very small budget, and that's actually very great because now it's not. The great thing about that, and I was thinking about this the other day too, is how this is going to help so many people, especially in impoverished places. Because think about it, back then, or still today, if you're born in a place that doesn't have much economic investment, you're almost destined to fail or destined to never have an opportunity to be rich or successful, right? The great thing about technology is that it's limitless. It doesn't. It's becoming less and less important about where you're born and the opportunities that are presented to you. For example, there's these nonprofits that go down to Sierra Leone or these African or Middle Eastern or impoverished places, right? And they're able to take that technology there and be innovative with it and teach these kids how to code, how to program, how to do all these different things. That is what IT, information systems and technology have provided. It's making the playing field more even. It's making competition more aggressive. It's more about how hard can you work, right? It's no longer where were you born, what opportunities were you given. That's for me is like, wow. Technology is really helping everybody become not maybe equal, but they're getting more equal opportunity. I think that's something that we haven't seen in the world in a long time, or I ever have, to be honest. So I'm very excited about that type of technology and innovation. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, definitely. So information systems are essentially changing the world as we see it.
Yeah.
So, and for good, really. So, well, that basically concludes this whole video series. Thank you if you watched this all the way through. I hope you learned a lot because we learned a lot doing this. So thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, do whatever you like. So thank you. Andrew Aderos signing off.
Bye.